What's up, guys? So today's video is a story time. It was supposed to go up yesterday, but we are winding down the end of the holidays. So hopefully videos will resume their intended release dates. This is the last in my film career Storytime series. Once I tell you this story, you're pretty much caught up with everything that I've done in my sort of short-lived semi-amateur film career. So yeah, let's get straight into this. Okay, so this story is actually not that old. It only happened about, I want to say, last year. So it's really not that long ago. I had written a first draft of a feature-length film. That in and of itself was a 6-year endeavour, involving having written all of my other shorter ones, being asked to remake the IP that didn't end up being made when he switched to a monologue instead. Like, literally all of the things that I've already talked about accumulated in me rewriting that film, seeing that there were some elements similar to between that one and another film that I'd done, trying to merge the storylines, etc., and with me having basically a feature-length story, because I had also in that time gotten the Save That Cat writing books, which are, if you don't know, they are screenwriting books, and they go through how to have a strong protagonist, what makes an interesting storyline, the basic structure for how most films go. Obviously you can manipulate, what it outlines as step 7 might be your step 6, and you can sort of swap around a couple of things just to give yours a bit more of an interesting overall story arc. But either way, all 15 elements are still in their same in the same sort of general curve. So I had all these short films that the longest of which was like a quarter of an hour. Once it had actually been filmed and edited and everything else, was only a quarter of an hour long. And I ended up being able to write, obviously this is full script, so including things that probably would have ended up being deleted out or written out to streamline. It was only the first draft, but it ended up being like 196 pages, which, to give you guys an idea of how long that is, screen time, 1 page of pure action is generally a minute of film. So 196 pages is easily a 3-hour film, like Avengers Endgame. So when you consider that that's what it was final, its first draft script would have been easily 300, 400 pages long. Ridiculous. So I had 196 pages, and I had sort of put in the storylines from when I had been the director, with the really shitty producer and the professional actors. I put in those two as sort of a sideline. I turned the silent film, given it some speaking roles. They became the two characters that were the police officers in the crime one of that same scenario, because in my head those two films were connected by being the same actors, same production crew. So I thought same characters makes sense. And so the storyline ends up being, at least this side storyline, ends up being two police officers who slowly get closer to each other, eventually start having a bit of a romantic relationship, and then obviously something bad happens that leads them down into this sort of dark underbelly. Obviously they're still performing police duties while they're at it, and just to sort of change the dynamic a little bit, I had it be that the female character had been transferred in because of the overall storyline for the full feature film, being about a serial killer, and so she had been transferred in. She was a detective. She meets this sort of like beat cop who is the male character, and while he's sort of the first responder to these murders, he has to then work really closely with the detective who's trying to solve the case, and that's where their sort of first meeting comes in. Anyway, with those two films, those two characters easily being the beeline story, the love story for the film, it's very easy to sort of detach that and make it its own separate little thing. And so the idea was to do exactly that, to make this little side story based on these two characters, basically remake those two short films from the film festival, where I had the professional actors that I was directing. I had the really good production crew, but I had the shitty producer, and all that was going to be different was that I wasn't going to have professional actors because I can't afford them, and I was going to be the producer, so I was trading one shitty thing for sort of like another shitty thing, but I was like, no, it's fine, surely I can find 4-5 actors that are able to, you know, really nail these characters, and I did. I found at least one. She was really good. She read the part for a character. I was like, I already love what you're doing with the character, and all I've done is gone, here, you have, you know, here is the script, I will let you read it overnight. I'll come and I'll see your version of it tomorrow in a formal audition. And she absolutely smashed it out of the park. I was like, this is great. This looks like it's going really well. And then I hit what I thought was a brick wall that turned out to just be the, I don't know, the tree on the edge of the cliff. And as I like hit it, it fell off, and I started my descent into what eventually became the downward spiral of this film, which never even got to production stage. It's still technically in pre-production, because what happened is I ended up getting some other actors who had shown a lot of passion for doing the project, but not so much in actually doing the project, if that makes sense. Like they were like, oh yeah, cool, let's be in a film, you know, let's make a movie, but they weren't so much like, give me the script so I can learn my lines, when are the production dates? It was more, put me in a film because I want to be famous. And I'm like, we realised that this is going to get entered in like a local film festival, and that's probably going to be it. You're like, I'm like, there's no way I can even hope to contend with the professional level of international film festivals at this point with the limited technology that I have. I mean, I'm slowly making waves with having my camera and having the tripod now, being able to make films so I can actually go out to a location and actually film something, have all the editing programs on my computer, so I have the ability to now, but I no longer have actors available. Anyway, I digress. I didn't have that equipment before, had the software but not the hardware, and so I'd gone to like auditions, rehearsals. We actually at one point got to have a formal rehearsal, and then about a half hour before everyone was supposed to show up, 2 of the people called saying that they weren't going to make it. 10 minutes later, a 3rd person called saying that they weren't going to make it. Ironically, those 3 were friends with each other in school, and I sort of knew that going into the project, but it was only through the project that it was sort of like, yeah, no, these guys definitely know each other. So, sneaking suspicion that they were all just hanging out with each other. Anyway, and yeah, they just didn't show, which, for me personally, because I had written this film, so I had a lot of passion for it in that regard. I was going to be the director, so I had a lot of passion for it in that regard. I was going to be the editor, I was going to be the producer. Yeah, I was putting a lot of time and effort, and honestly, it's not like I wasn't going to pay them, but if you tell someone you're going to pay them and they only do it for the money, you're not necessarily getting it because they want to just do it. I was trying to approach it with the, I'll just spring the, here guys, by the way, this is what I can afford at the moment, but you helped me make a film, so you deserve to be paid. Again, it was going to be entered in a local film festival. Had it won at the local film festival, yes, I would have shared evenly whatever prize money it got. So it's not like I was in this to make money for myself. I just wanted to make a film. And so to then have all of these actors, and I mean, at the same time, all of these friends, people that I thought were my friends, and therefore were like, yeah, no, we'll help you out because we want to help you out with your friend. To have them, like, flake on me and bail like that was, yeah, it wasn't cool. Yeah. But it meant that I got the rare opportunity to sort of sit back, re-examine my script, go, does this need reworking? And so, aside from doing my study and making these and trying to basically get my life on track at the moment, I am also trying to work on the script. And the way I'm doing that, because obviously I started getting into this through writing first. I was a writer well before I had discovered my passion for film. I loved writing. So that was always the way I'd gone into it, was I would write a story, and then as I was writing it, I would see the images in my head and go, okay, this is how I would want it filmed. And so try to write it so that the script sort of demanded that it be filmed a particular way. Obviously, still open to interpretation, but still sort of very detailed in, like, there's a close-up of the clock and the particular time that it says, because that then demands that you have a particular colour palette for the lights, and when you're editing, you need to make sure that the colour grading on that particular scene is a particular colour. Locations and stuff, being very sort of specific about what the locations look like and stuff. So being very particular to what I had in my head, so that when whoever else got it, they were able to look at it and be like, okay, this is what we've got to work with. Where can we flex from there to make this our own thing? Because obviously I've still got to be aware that if I'm not directing it, I don't have a lot of control over those aspects as well. If I'm not producing it, I don't have that as well. So, yeah. So, the way I'm now approaching it is I'm writing it out as a novel. I'm going to try and self-publish that novel, and then from there try to go from, because I think that's another thing that annoys me about, particularly about films based on novels, is that they leave a lot of like the important details out, or like a lot of the fan favorite moments out. I've always personally liked TV shows that are based on books more, because you can sort of approach it as an episode equals a chapter sort of idea. And I mean, had they done that with something like Harry Potter, for instance, and I mean, that could always be what the reboot in a couple of years' time, if there is going to be one, could be, is they make a TV show, put it on Netflix or something, and they just have, you know, episode 1 focuses more on establishing the Muggle world and introducing Harry Potter and some magical elements. And I mean, there is a lot of magic in that first chapter. Like, there's the shooting stars, there's the owls, there's all of the wizards celebrating the downfall of Voldemort, and the secret parties about celebrating Harry Potter, the boy who lived. You could have that as being the first episode, and sort of like, yeah, look, there's magic coming, and then the second episode would be 11 years later, when they go to the reptile house. And I mean, there's 17 chapters in that first book, so there'd be 17 episodes, and you could sort of, as the books get longer and longer, you could split them into, you know, different seasons sort of thing, so you lead up to sort of the midpoint climax for you know, part A finale, and then finish off in a separate season sort of thing, whatever. It's an idea. I feel like it's possible, particularly with the number of chapters in some of those books being quite extensive. I think that's something that should be looked at least. But that's what I'm going to be trying to do, is going back once I've made it into a book and going, what are the main plot points from each chapter, where do they fall on my beat sheet from the Save the Cat books, and then how can I most accurately get, you know, some of these smaller details to fill in the overall story arc, to make a film that is as close to my source material as possible. So yeah, and as I have mentioned a few times, that is the ultimate goal for this channel, is to be able to put my original content, my short films and stuff on here. So if you want to see those, please give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you to hit the subscription button and the notification bell. Drop me a comment as well. I am always looking for new ideas and stuff, as far as stories go, because you never know where your next inspirations are going to come from. Like when I go for a walk in the afternoon to take photos and stuff, particularly for my assignments and stuff, you know, I'll be listening to music and just walking past all these beautiful landscapes that I'm photographing, and, you know, I'll randomly just have a thought, so I'll pull my phone out and I'll do a quick Google search, save it as a tab, come back to it when I get home, sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely have a lot of ideas running around, but if you have one that you think would be really cool in anything that I've said in this video, please let me know in the comment section down below. My social media links are in the description as well. Please go check them out. And until next time, night to A2, and I'll check you all later.